A special thank you to each of our subscribers who make this channel possible. Here's today's story. Good morning. Today, we bring you a shocking development from South Korea that has sent political shockwaves throughout the nation. President Yoon Suk Yeol is facing potential impeachment following his controversial and sudden declaration of martial law in the capital, Seoul. This unprecedented move, which occurred on Tuesday, has drawn comparisons to the dark days of past dictatorships, prompting widespread protests across the country. Just 6 hours after the declaration, the National Assembly unanimously voted to revoke it, forcing Yoon to lift martial law amid growing public outcry. The declaration, which saw heavily armed military forces take to the streets of Seoul, was met with immediate backlash from opposition parties. Lawmakers, desperate to regain control, climbed walls to access the parliament building, where they activated fire extinguishers in a bid to fend off troops. In a dramatic scene, former news anchor on GW Iran confronted a soldier, demanding to know, "Aren't you ashamed of yourselves?" The Assembly's rejection of Yoon's declaration was overwhelming, with a vote of 190 to 0, including members from Yoon's own party, the People Power Party. Yoon's martial law declaration was framed as a necessary response to what he termed anti-state forces plotting rebellion, accusing opposition parties of colluding with North Korea. However, he provided no concrete evidence to support these claims, raising eyebrows among political analysts who questioned the legitimacy of his actions. Historically, such tactics have been used by South Korean leaders to suppress dissent during turbulent times, echoing the authoritarian regimes that characterized the country in the late 20th century. The Constitution of South Korea does grant the president the authority to impose martial law during national emergencies, but it also stipulates that the National Assembly can revoke such a declaration with a majority vote. Many experts argue that Yoon's actions exceeded his constitutional powers, particularly in suspending parliamentary activity and deploying military forces against lawmakers. The Democratic Party, which holds a majority in the National Assembly, has condemned Yoon's declaration as undemocratic and illegal. Opposition leader Lee Jae-myung, who narrowly lost to Yoon in the 2022 presidential election, has called for the president's resignation. In a show of unity, even members of Yoon's own party have distanced themselves from his actions, labeling the declaration as tragic and vowing to hold accountable those involved. As protests erupted across the nation, social media was flooded with messages of disbelief and concern. Thousands took to the streets to voice their opposition to Yoon's heavy-handed approach, with some calling for a general strike until he steps down. The public sentiment reflects a broader unease about the direction of the country under Yoon's leadership, particularly in light of ongoing corruption scandals involving him and his wife. Yoon's political challenges have been compounded by his inability to navigate a parliament dominated by opposition parties since he took office. His recent claims of a North Korean conspiracy have been met with skepticism, especially given the absence of any substantial evidence. Critics argue that Yoon's declaration of martial law was a desperate attempt to regain control amidst growing political pressures and declining approval ratings. The specter of military intervention in civilian affairs is a haunting memory for many South Koreans, particularly those who lived through the country's turbulent history of authoritarian rule. The echoes of past leaders, such as Park Chung-hee and Chun Doo-hwan, loom large as citizens grapple with the implications of Yoon's actions. During the 1980s, military leaders often invoked the threat of North Korea to justify oppressive measures against their own citizens, a tactic that has resurfaced in Yoon's recent rhetoric. Looking ahead, the political landscape in South Korea remains uncertain. With mounting pressure from the opposition and civil society, a vote on Yoon's impeachment could take place as early as tomorrow. The Democratic Party's call for Yoon's resignation reflects a growing consensus that his actions represent a significant threat to the democratic fabric of the nation. As the situation continues to unfold, South Koreans are left to ponder the future of their democracy and the implications of Yoon's controversial leadership. In conclusion, the recent events in South Korea serve as a stark reminder of the fragility of democracy and the importance of accountability in governance. As citizens rally for their rights and demand a return to democratic principles, the world watches closely to see how this political crisis will unfold. Will President Yoon Suk Yeol weather the storm, or will he face the consequences of his unprecedented actions? Only time will tell. That's all for this story. We upload videos every day covering many different subjects, so hit that subscribe button to stay informed. Thanks for watching.